Hello, hello! We are finally making fairy dolls today, and I have made several over the different weeks and months. And today I am going to show you how to make them, but I'm going to show you a different way than a lot of these are made. And I was trying to come up with a much easier way than the normal YouTube video tutorial. So there is another one online that everybody uses, and that might be the one that you want to check out if you want to do the wire fairies. But I'm going to show you these fairies. They do not have any faces, and I'll tell you more about that in 1 minute. But these fairy dolls, this fairy doll, and this fairy doll, other than this one not having a face, can you really see the difference? And I don't think that you can. And the only difference is this fairy doll is made with wire, and this fairy doll is actually made with the stem of a flower. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this with the stems of the flower from Dollar Tree, because it is super easy, and I wanted to make it easier for those of you that might have trouble with bending and things like that. So this little fairy doll is actually made out of this. Oh, how cool is that? Now, getting back to the faces. The faces are really hard to find. These I found at Joanna Fabric. They do not carry them in stock all the time. Joanna Fabric is online, so you can check them out. If you can't find these are the ones that are the ones that everybody uses. You can stain them, you can paint them, you can put faces on them, whatever you want. A lot of people just leave their fairy faces alone and they go with these. These are the 25mm ones, and there's 19 pieces in here. But for those of you that can't even find these anywhere locally, you could be creative, and you could pick these up at Dollar Tree. They are like little embellishments, but if you had to, it is slightly bigger than the actual head, but you can just take some natural or whatever color head you wanted, and you can just twine it around here, and then do the same thing you would do that I'm going to show you how to add your hair and things like that. So for those of you that just want to go to Dollar Tree and get these, you can do that, and then just twine your head color or your face color, and then you can add your little eyes, and it's not going to make a difference. Everybody's going to be able to see exactly what you've done. So that is just another idea. So let's get started on what you need. Of course, you're going to need a few different flowers, and if you pick out two because you want to change the flowers with the wings and the clothing and things like that, you're going to use the stems, so a couple of different flowers. Dollar Tree does sell embroidery cord, so you could buy this like this, or you can go to your craft store and you can purchase the single ones like this. These are usually what I work with, but it just depends on what you can get and what's accessible to you. Then you can also pick up different embellishments and things like that that you can add to the skirts and things like that, like I did here. I added the little pom-poms and this little flower here, and they sell those little things at the Dollar Tree. You have to check in their craft department, or even check in like the school supply section, or even the nail section. They have the little bows and things like that for nail embellishments. You can use those for the fairies. Okay, because like here's another fairy that I used the little rhinestones all over. So you just have to get creative, and I know that some people are going to be frustrated and say, well, she didn't show me how to do this. You have to use your imagination. That's what crafting is. So just come up with some different things. There is no right or wrong way. I'm just going to show you the basics in this, and I hope that you'll have fun with it. Don't get frustrated or aggravated, but this one's going to be just on how to make the fairy dolls out of the flower stems. I can later on do one out of these, but it is much more detailed, a little bit harder to work with, but this is very simple and anyone can do it. Okay, so to get started, what we're going to do is you're going to take one of your flowers and you're just going to pull off all the flowers. Okay, so you're going to pull all these off, including the leaves. And this is why I always say keep your stems. You never know what you can make from them. There's always something unique, and I actually still have a few more things that I can show all of you guys that you can do with these, because it's amazing. Okay, so this, of course, is your body right here. And the other things you're going to need are a pair of snips, a pair of pliers, a glue gun, and of course your scissors. Okay, so this right here is your neck, and what you want to do is when you take your pliers, they do sell a pair of these snips at Dollar Tree, you're going to have to squeeze really hard right here, and you're going to have to move it back and forth, and it will crack right off. Okay, so but you have to squeeze really, really hard. And then of course you want the outer one. This will be an arm, this will be an arm, and then you have 2 legs, and of course you have the center here that we want to cut off. Okay, so you're just going to snip that off. So now you have 2 legs and you have 2 arms, and then what you want to do is you want to snip, and I'd say we're giving ourselves 3 inches there, and I just kind of estimate. If you need to be more accurate, you need to use a ruler. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so it's the same thing with the legs. You want to make sure your legs are even, so snip those down. And if you want smaller fairies, of course you just snip smaller, and if you want taller ones, you just leave them longer. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take these arms and you're just going to fold them in. You're going to take your pliers and you're going to push that down. Okay, you're just trying to give it like, you're just folding this in to just give the arms some more stability. Okay, but if you wanted to snip it off and you wanted to just leave your arms skinny, you can do that too. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Some people follow my instructions exactly, and you don't have to do that. Okay, so now, look, you already have your body. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take the piece that you just cut off, and you're going to cut this down to, again, about 3 inches. Okay, like that. And I'm going to use one with the face since I have it. Like that. And I'm going to use my embroidery thread. Okay, so here's my embroidery thread. And what you do with the embroidery thread, this is why I like this, because otherwise you have to make this. So what you would have to do is you would have to, if you're going to use the Dollar Tree one, you would have to make your hair long like this so that you could put it on like this, because then you open up in the loop, you take your piece of wire, you put it through, and then you bend this. Okay, when you bend this, this is your hair. Okay, so then you make sure your face is right up if you're using that, and you pull it down through here. And I use my pliers and just pull it through. Pull it through enough to where the hair is through the head. Okay, so that's your hair. And now, we already have our body done. So all we're going to do is we're going to take some hot glue. You need quite a bit of it, so make sure it's coming out. And you're going to glue your head to your body. Okay, and you're just going to hot glue that on. So look, your body is already done. Okay, and this is perfect for the kids because then there's no more bending or anything like that. And then what you're going to start doing is you're going to embroider your body. Now some people do it differently. Again, you do it however you want. I like to use 2 pieces of embroidery. So I'm going to use a purple and I'm going to use a yellow. Okay, so I'm going to use 2 of them. And what you do is you take your 2 ends and you add a piece of, not a piece, but a dab of glue on the neck. And you're not even going to notice the thickness of the neck or anything like that once you start adding your embellishments like your flowers. Okay, so make sure it's stuck on there, and that's just so that it sticks enough for you to start twining it. Okay, and then you just twine it all the way. Okay, so you twine it. You don't cut it off ever, you just keep going. So then you crisscross this way. You do one arm. Oop. And sometimes what I do is I add a little glue on the end so that it sticks right there. Okay, keep going, keep going. Come back around, crisscross at the rib cage again. Come back around, do your arm, your other arm. Oop. See, when you go a little bit too fast, it falls off on you. Okay. Okay, come back around. And then when you get back to the waist again, go back around so that you're covering this whole center part. And then you just separate the legs enough for you to start the legs. Okay, so then you go all the way down with the leg. Okay, just keep going, 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 going. I'm going to wrap this whole leg up, and then I'm going to come back up, and then I'm going to switch to fairy doll. So this is what you're going to do to just get it done. Okay? So just go all the way down and try to go as far as you can to the little foot there, and then go back up again. Some people cut it off, but I like my thread to be nice and thick on there, and it covers up all the stem. So it's entirely up to you if you wanted to cut it off at the bottom. But see how I missed some spots coming down? You're able to cover that up when you come back up again. Okay, it does get a little hard when you get to the inside of the leg here. Okay, so you can use one color if you want. You can use two colors if you want. I do just a few just so that I have a nice colorful fairy. Okay, so then you're just going to, well, I'm not going to cut this, but what you do is once you're got the other leg completely done, then you get back up here, you're just going to snip it and you're going to add a little bit of hot glue to finish off your thread. Well, let me just finish it because I don't want anybody wondering what I did here. Okay, so let's just finish her leg. And if you're working with kids with these, just make sure when you're using hot glue that they don't burn themselves, because it can be quite hot, but you're not using a lot of it on these because there's not a lot to glue. Okay, so you just keep twining it. Okay, now we're going to go back up. And that's how quick these are to make. Once, you know, of course, when you first start making them, they are a little difficult, especially like this part with the legs. You got to get used to twining this way, but it's really easy, as you can see. Just keep twining it up, twining it up. And when you get to the top part here, all you're going to do is cut this off, wrap it a few more times, and then add a little dab of glue on the end of your thread, so when you wrap it around, it sticks. Okay, so now you have a fairy doll body all done. Okay, she's ready to get some clothes on. So now you're going to take one of your flowers and you're going to pull off the back side. And what I like to do is I like to layer my flowers. So you take two different flowers. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one like this, one like this, one like this. Okay, so that she has like a nice little skirt on. Okay, let's flip that around like that. And then once you have your center right there, all you're going to do is fold it in half, and you're going to put a little slice. Don't go too deep because you don't want that to be too big. Their waist is not that big. So look, you have a little hole right here. And you take your fairy doll and you put her clothes on up to the top of her waist. Okay, so now she's got her clothes on, and then what I do is I take hot glue and I go on the back side and I glue that down. Let me add another piece of hot glue. Okay, so now she's got her skirt on. Okay, so that's done. Now we're going to give her some wings. And I think I'm going to go with this color, just to give it something different. And what you do with the wings is you take it off of the flower, pull them apart, fold it in half with the outside of the flower. So when it's up like this, you fold it under. Okay, so I'll show you that in a minute. You're going to take the little wing and you're going to add glue to one side that you folded in half, and you're going to take it and you're going to glue it to her back. Just like that. Okay, so that's one wing. Let's take another flower, and you want to make sure that the flowers are the same size. So here's the flower, it's upright. Pull off the top, and you have it like this. You're going to put the glue on this side. So flip it over, add your glue, and you'll notice that the flower is upright, okay? So then again, you're just going to take some glue. You're going to add it to the back side here. And there are her little fairy wings. So she's all done with her little fairy wings. And if you wanted to, then you can take the inside of a flower, like here's the inside of a flower, and you can snip this off on the back side here. So you just get creative with it and just do different things and add different embellishments and things like that. So then all you have to do is take the center of that flower and put it right there, and now the back is all done. Okay, now for those of you with the hair can be a little difficult at times. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the way I do it, and that is you just find that loop at the end and you cut it right here. So now you have like long hair. You try and just get that loop out of there like that. Okay, trim off like a little extra. Okay, what I do is I take a few strands, just a few, like that, and the rest I bring in the front. What I do is I take this little strand here and I add some glue to the head, and this does take practice. It takes work to make this work, so don't give up. Do it however works for you. But then when you add a little glue to the head, you start to add it around the face, and then you go under and you add more hot glue. So what you're essentially doing is you're adding this one strand of hair up and around so that it doesn't look like she's bald. See what I mean? See how that's working? Okay, so you're just adding hot glue to the head. Okay, you're adding hot glue to the head, and then you're just pressing this down, and you're kind of going in a circular motion so that it looks like she has hair on the back of her head. Because then what you can do is you can add like a little hat, or you can add something here, but you just go in a complete circle. So you take your strand and you start to hot glue, you come all the way around and up, and then you can either snip that off or glue that under. I'm going to glue it under so that I have more hair on there. Okay, so now the hair is done in the back, and now I have this in the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this down this way, and I'm going to do a braid right here. Okay, so let's braid this side so that she has a braid. And the hair you do have to play with, because the hair is a little bit harder to do. And it just takes practice. You just got to get creative. You got to part the hair. You got to do different things with it, and it'll all work out. So just give yourself a chance. I think that's the biggest thing, is giving yourself a chance. And then take just a little piece of your thread to tie a little bow here on your braid that you just made. I'll show you in 1 second. Okay, so we just tied it off right there. Just put a little bow right there, and then we're going to just glue this down on her face. Okay, so she has a little thing there. And I still have a little bald spot, so I can either come around the back side, but what I think I'm going to do is, when I usually wind up with a little bald spot that I don't like, I usually will just take another little piece of flour, and we can add this to the back side on her head, and that will cover up any hair that we weren't able to get when we put her hair on. So there's a lot of ways that you can cover up different flaws and things like that. Okay, so then what you can do too is you can take, let's see, here is the inside of a little flower. You can take that off, and you can add that for her to hold it right here. So we're going to do that. Okay, so now she's holding that little thing there. And then of course you can just start adding your little embellishments and things like that to her. But that's how easy it is to make a fairy doll out of the wire from an actual flower. So it's pretty simple, and all you have to do is get creative and it comes together for you. So let's see if we have something that I can. And then I also use the leaves again, so if you wanted to, you can take this little leaf. We can add a little glue, and we can put this on the top of her hat too, like that. Okay, so it's just depending on how you want to do different things. She's got the little flower on the back side. She's got the little leaf on her head. And you can put little rhinestones and things on her. So that's how easy it is to make the fairy dolls. So I can do another tutorial on the wire. It does take more time. We are stuck between a rock and a hard place when we do videos. Some people say they're too long. Some people say they're too short. So I'm hoping that you at least got the basics of this. And remember, crafting is your own creativity. So while I showed you the basics, get creative and make your own little fairy dolls. Have fun.